साथियों, हम लोग रवि वर्मा साहब को सुनना चाहते हैं, लेकिन उसके पहले मैं जस्ट 2-3 चीज़ें साहब के बारे में बताना चाहता हूँ कि अगले साल हम लोग प्रोफेसर रवि वर्मा कुमार साहब का 50वां साल प्रैक्टिस में एज अ लॉयर सेलिब्रेट करने वाले हैं और उसका एक दिल्ली में ऑल बार एसोसिएशन की तरफ से बड़ा प्रोग्राम लिया जाएगा। और साथियों, अगले साल वो 50वें साल में एंटर कर रहे हैं। दूसरी इम्पॉर्टेंट बात कि इंदिरा साहनी से लेकर तो अशोक कुमार ठाकुर और उसके बाद में ईडब्ल्यूएस तक के जजमेंट, जितने भी सामाजिक न्याय के जजमेंट्स हैं, ही प्लेड अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन ऑल दोज जजमेंट्स। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में यदि आरक्षण, ओबीसी आरक्षण में, हायर एजुकेशन में कोई आरक्षण है ओबीसी का, तो डिफेंड किया अशोक कुमार ठाकुर में और जीते हैं। इंदिरा साहनी केस में भी जीते हैं और उन्होंने अपने जीवन में 40,000 के ऊपर केसेस लड़ा है और देश के जाने माने वकील, उनके सीनियर भी इस देश के जाने माने वकील थे। और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जो आरक्षण की सबसे पहली पुरानी केसेस से लेकर तो अब तक की केसेस में फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस के साथ वकालत किया है उन्होंने। और साउथ अफ्रीकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कमेटी में जब उनके सीनियर को बुलाया गया था तो उनके सीनियर के साथ भी साहब साउथ अफ्रीका नेल्सन मंडेला के इनविटेशन पर साउथ अफ्रीका की संविधान बनाने के लिए गए थे और वहाँ संविधान में कुछ प्रोविजंस है जो साहब के सीनियर और उनकी वजह से वहाँ आए हुए हैं। अभी अभी यूनाइटेड नेशन की जो पॉलिसी है फार्मर्स के ऊपर, उसको लेकर लैटिन अमेरिका में लंबा कॉन्फ्रेंस हुआ और साहब ने जो फार्मर्स को लेकर एक बिल ड्राफ्ट किया था, यूनाइटेड नेशन ने उसको एक्सेप्ट किया है एंड दैट हैज़ बिकम ए नाउ यूनाइटेड नेशन का कानून में तब्दील हुआ है। तो ऐसे महान हस्ती को हम लोग सब सुनना चाहते थे। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ प्रोफेसर रवि वर्मा कुमार, सीनियर एडवोकेट सुप्रीम कोर्ट साहब से कि वो हमें संबोधित करें। प्लीज़ सर।
I came here to wish good morning, but now it is good evening. Wish you all a very good evening. I'm sorry I am unable to speak in Hindi. I was speaking Hindi earlier. I even made a speech in Hindi on the lawns of the Constitution Club, and my speech was so well received. Immediately I was elected as the executive committee member of National Janta, the then party, on 1st May 1977. But later I married a girl who speaks Hindi, and she said, "Your Hindi is hopeless, don't ever address a public meeting in Hindi." So from 1983 I have stopped addressing any public meeting in Hindi. Kindly pardon me, I am unable to, I lost touch now. Anyway, at the outset I congratulate the All Bar Association, then the All India Lawyers Conference, the Indian Medical Professionals Association, and all my young friends here. I congratulate you, because in the Constitution Club so far 5 conferences have been held, lawyers conferences. Dr. Sangeeta Verma spoke so emphatically on the legal profession. Yes madam, you are right. We are the leaders of the society. Unless we demand, unless we lead, we will not be able to achieve anything. Just imagine, had Baba Sahib Ambedkar not opened his mouth, If only he was a barrister, he could have minted money by practicing in London. He could have minted money by practicing in the Privy Council. He was such a great intellectual, an expert in 8 subjects, with over 8 postgraduate degrees, doctorate degrees. He could have been a professor in any university in America and minted dollars, not rupees, minted dollars. Why did he sacrifice all that to come and embrace untouchability here? Suffer humiliation, insult? You are right. In the legal profession, we have to exhibit that kind of a sterling character. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was hailed as a man of sterling character by no less a person than Gandhiji. Gandhi hailed him as a patriot of sterling character. Gandhiji never appreciated anybody so easily. Why did he earn that? Are we worthy of any such encomiums by anybody, much less by an enemy? That is because he sacrificed everything to come and fight for equality in this country. He fought for equality of women. No women's organization remembers him. The Hindu Code Bill was essentially to get equal rights to women. He did not resign any post for the sake of reservation, but he resigned his post because he was unable to get equality for women through the Hindu Code Bill. He antagonized the all-powerful Congress party, which was leading the freedom movement. He refused to join the Congress party. More importantly, he was invited. Gandhiji went on a hunger strike against him when he got the award for separate electorate. So, Congress party hated him like anything. They tried to tarnish his image. But he came out unscathed. Why? He was really a man of sterling character, a paragon of virtue. Have you ever heard of a single allegation against him of bribery, of misappropriation? I had the good fortune of being the legal advisor for the People's Education Society founded by him. I visited all the places where he has built such monumental institutions. They are catering to the needs of the society, particularly the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. I was amazed from where did this man get so much money to build public institutions. You should see Siddhartha College of Law. Today it must be a gold mine. You should see Siddhartha College of Commerce. The very property, forget about the institutional importance, but the very property then the Ambedkar University. Why did he dedicate himself for a public cause at personal cost? See what happened to his personal life. He lost children after children. He had to issue a legal notice to his only son because he was so strong on morals that he would not brook any immoral conduct on the part of his own son. Do we have a parallel in India? Any other leader of that tall character? More importantly, I know he was a very busy practitioner. He had come to Karnataka a number of times to argue cases. But at the same time, he ensured that everywhere he went, there was an institution to educate people, educate masses. That is the importance he gave to education. And all the speakers have already told you about his achievements, about his drafting the constitution. Mr. Kushwaha has so graphically described that the builders of the nation are all non-Brahmins, but the rulers have been Brahmins. Kushwaha, you did not mention one important thing. As Dr. Karthik mentioned, one Brahmin from Uttar Pradesh, one Brahmin from Tamil Nadu, one Brahmin from... Our Supreme Court is also doing the same thing. They gave representation to Karnataka, but only a Brahmin comes. They give representation to a lady, only a Brahmin lady comes. And believe me, in your High Court, there is a judge by name Justice Pawan Bajantri. He is a Dalit. He was transferred out of Karnataka Why? Because he was senior to a Brahmin. Still the hurdle was not clear. There was one more judge who was a non-Brahmin and a backward class man. He is Justice Narendra. He is transferred out of Karnataka. He is now working in Amravati, Andhra Pradesh High Court. All this was done for one purpose. The next man would get 15 days to be designated as a Chief Justice. His seniors are still rotting as puny judges, but the junior most, by virtue of his caste, he was elevated as Chief Justice of Karnataka. For 15 days, he was the Chief Justice. Now, this is how diversity is working in the judiciary. It is with this background, what you did not mention is the first census in the country was done in the year 1872, 1872. Till then, everyone believed Brahmins are the most populous community in the country. In Karnataka, almost all the jobs were held by them. In the then princely state of Mysore, it was discovered Brahmins constituted only 3% population, but they occupied 99% of the posts. whether it is munshifs, civil judges, assistant commissioners, tahsildars, amildars, head constables, sub-inspectors, inspectors, everybody. So, 1872 opened the eyes of the princely state of Mysore rulers. For the first time anywhere in the world, the concept of social justice was introduced in the then princely state of Mysore in the year 1874. Reservation was provided in the police department, in the post of head constable, sub-inspector, inspectors, on an experimental basis. It was reviewed by Seshadri Iyer, a Brahmin Diwan, in the year 1885. Most of the Diwans of Mysore came from Tamil Nadu, the then Madras Presidency, and they were invariably Tamil Brahmins. So, the Karnataka Brahmins raised a banner of revolt. Why are you giving all the posts to only Tamil Brahmins? Why not to Karnataka Brahmins? Why not Mysore Brahmins? So the first beneficiary was Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. He was appointed as Diwan in the year 1910. That is when, see, Dalits were nowhere in the picture because they were not educated at all. The Maharaja realized he should open hostels for Dalits. Otherwise, they can't stay anywhere. They are not admitted in any home. So, hostels were opened, schools were opened, Panchamashale, it was exclusively for Dalits, opened. And more importantly, 1918, the then Maharaja appointed the first ever known backward classes committee under the leadership. See, look at the, see, it is Maharaja. One very important thing I would request you to kindly note. In this country, anything that is done is only by Kshatriyas. Maharaja appointed Miller Committee in 1918. Mandal Commission report was implemented by V.P. Singh in the year 1990. Second part of Mandal Commission, reservation in IITs, IIMs was implemented in the year 2006 by Arjun Singh. So it is this way that the march of social justice has taken place. The point I wanted to tell you was, because the 1872 census threw up the actual demographic strength of each caste, first thing Jawaharlal Nehru did after becoming the Prime Minister was to abolish caste column from census. From that day, the Brahmins have never allowed caste census to be taken because they will be exposed. The way they have amassed opportunities, the way they have deprived posts of judges, doctors, lawyers to all other castes, how beyond their population they have grabbed the opportunities. So to suppress that, the first thing Nehru did was to delete the caste column from the census operation. And since then, we have been fighting. I have myself made any number of applications before the Honorable Supreme Court. Madras High Court had even issued a mandamus to conduct caste census, and Supreme Court has set it aside, saying that it's a matter of policy, and that policy will not be taken by the Government of India. After a long drawn struggle, we succeeded in getting it. When in 2011, Madam Sonia ji agreed caste census should be conducted, but then Mr. Chidambaram, who was then the Home Minister, and Mr. Jairam Ramesh, they opposed tooth and nail. A backward class minister, Mr. Veerappa Moily, who was the cabinet minister, Minister for Law, he was for implementation of it, but it was not implemented. But finally, Sonia ji conceded the demand, asked Manmohan ji to do it. Manmohan ji handed it over to the then finance minister, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and finally it was ordered. But the sabotage that was done by those who are opposed to this was they separated the main census from the caste census, and till this day that data is not published. So our own backward class Prime Minister has gone a step further. If you hold census, then you will demand caste census. So I will not hold census at all. Whole country is in darkness. So it is in this backdrop we are discussing a very, very important issue as to what is the challenge before our constitution. You mentioned about Vyasa writing Mahabharata, Valmiki writing Ramayana. I would also like to mention another backward class man, Narendra Modi, has written EWS reservation into constitution. This is the latest march that has been achieved in the name of backward classes. So it is in this backdrop we have to, as lawyers, I am extremely proud and delighted to see so many lawyers here, more importantly, coming from every nook and corner of the nation, and more particularly, not confined to either scheduled castes or scheduled tribes, but embracing all oppressed sections, all exploited sections, including women, including backward classes, including minorities who have been at the receiving end in the administration of this constitution. So as lawyers, you have rightly taken up this cause. If you want bring justice to the socially oppressed classes, you alone lawyers can deliver the goods, not others. Please be assured of it, that Brahmins will not give you social justice. You have to earn it yourself. Why did Ambedkar sacrifice everything in his life to work for the Dalits? Not only Dalits, even the women. Not only women. No trade union remembers him, but he is, as labor minister, he is the man who drafted the Industrial Disputes Act. It is he who introduced the concept of paid holiday for workers. It is he introduced working hours so that they have conditions which enable a human being to survive even while working in a factory or an industry. No trade union remembers him. No women's organization remembers him. And with what kind of dedication he worked. Today, if you make one statement, there will be 100 cases filed against anybody who makes a statement touching a caste or community. What must have been his courage to burn Manusmriti? What must have been his courage to go and take water from Mahad tank? What must have been his courage to organize a satyagraha, Mahad satyagraha? More importantly, what must have been his courage to stand up before the Queen? Today nobody stands up before Narendra Modi, forget about it. He went and stood in front of the Maharaja, demanded separate electorate, demanded equality. That is because of his innate excellence as a lawyer. That is what all of you lawyers should achieve in your profession. Be second to none. Whatever you are doing, whether you are a writer like Mandal, a journalist like Mandal, Dilip Mandal, professor like Kedar Mandal, you excel in your profession, then only you will be able to get the courage of conviction to fight for your values. That's very important. Equally important, you should be a man like Ambedkar, man of sterling character. You know how many attempts congressmen made to malign his personality. They wanted to, they circulated false stories that he was married to an English lady when he was in England. Totally false. Incidentally, in Karnataka, we have published Ambedkar through letters. I have the letters, a correspondence between an English lady and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. My goodness, what a sterling character he was. I know some personal details also because my good and noble senior, Avnur, was so well acquainted. He came from Bombay Presidency and he was very close to Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. And more importantly, Mr. Chaurasia, STS Chaurasia from Patna, who was a very close associate of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So he used to give me so many personal details, which I may not be proper to share it in a public meeting. But whether in private life or in public life, he was a man of character. Nobody could find his limit. And the kind of dedication, we are all saluting Manyavar Kanshi Ramji. I had the good fortune of working with him when he was in DS4. I had the good fortune of working with him when he was in BOMSEF. When he went to politics, he wanted me to head his party in Karnataka. I had to very politely tell him, sorry sir, politics is not my cup of tea. I didn't go. Because I knew my path. I have to be an advocate, otherwise you can't fight. That's why I refused to become a judge also. Because once you become a part of the establishment, Now you have been lamenting what is happening for the Dalit and backward classes judges. Kanchiramji, we are remembering him, saluting him today for his 90th birthday. I don't know how many of you know about this story. He was presiding over a conference, BAMSEF conference in Periyar Thidal. Anybody from Tamil Nadu? In Periyar Thidal, there was a BAMSEF annual conference that was going on. Halfway through the conference on that day, a message was sent to him. He just kept it in the pocket, went through the entire conference, and after the conference he disclosed that his father is no more. See, look at his dedication to what he was doing. He was never perturbed because he has a job on hand, the conference. So, friends, that is the kind of dedication that is expected if you want to make a mark in this movement. Otherwise, it is just impossible to make any headway. So, now let us examine what our constitution is facing. Baba Sahib has said it so well that the best of the constitution can fail if the men administering it are bad. Worst of the constitution can succeed if the men administering it are good. Now put it to test. Sri Lanka got its constitution drafted by a constitutional expert, Sir Ivor Jennings drafted it, Sri Lankan constitution. Same time when our constitution. Pakistan got its constitution drafted. Nepal got its constitution drafted. Burma got its constitution drafted. China got its constitution, all in the 1940s. What has happened to those constitutions? Look at it. What has happened to Baba Sahib Ambedkar's constitution? Standing like a rock. We are still discussing. We are expressing ourselves so freely, which is a fundamental requirement of any democracy, freedom of speech and expression. We are free to speak. Can you make this speech in Sri Lanka? Can you make this speech in China? Can you make this speech in Burma? Myanmar? Can you make this speech in Pakistan? You may be shot dead in that very meeting. So that is what Baba Sahib has given us, and that is what our constitution is. On an average, the life of a constitution in the world, any constitution, average, I am speaking of average, constitutions on an average survive only for 17 years, 17. Our constitution is alive and kicking 75 years later also. That is Baba Sahib Ambedkar's contribution. It will survive, don't have any anxiety, nobody can touch this constitution. I don't say there are no threats. I don't say there are no problems. The major beneficiaries of this constitution are we, the oppressed people, the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, the Adivasis, the backward classes, the farmers, the workers, the women. We have to celebrate, not the government. We have to celebrate We have earned, we are here today, we are standing in the Constitution Club. Thanks to the Constitution. So it is our duty to save the Constitution. Because the Constitution may be there, maybe nobody can touch it, but it will be made unworkable. It will be made dysfunctional. Now take what has happened now. Now we say there are three pillars of democracy. Dilip Mandal will excuse me. He claims that there is a fourth pillar. I don't agree. It is now in the pocket of Narendra Modi. Therefore, if that pillar is given to him, the constitution will fall down. Sorry, media is not a pillar of democracy. It is not representing the Dalits. It is not a voice of the Dalits, not a voice of the women, not a voice of the minorities, not a voice of Adivasis. How can it be a pillar of this democracy? Sorry, it is not. But the other pillars are very important. Legislature, executive, and the judiciary. Now friends, you know what is happening in the field of legislature. We have a parliament today. You must have been seeing. The Bharatiya Janata Party is enjoying a very big majority. But have you heard of any debate on the floor of the parliament worth the name during the last 10 years? Take for example, the reservation provided to Brahmins. 3% Brahmins are given 10% reservation. 62% backward classes are given only 27%, and Ranbir Wadav, he doesn't want to fight for it. Without fighting, 3% Brahmins got 10% reservation. And how was it accomplished? It's a coup. No discussion. Hitler used to call this blitzkrieg. He used to drop bombs without being noticed. Only when the explosion took place, people were affected, they were smashed, they were destroyed. Like this, the bomb was thrown in the parliament. EWS reservation bill. 24 hours it is passed. No discussion. And Dr. Ramanor Lohia had made one statement. All the national political parties are in the hands of Brahmins. Don't believe that there is an opposition. It is so much true, sir. I was not convinced about his statement. But EWS bill, look at, except DMK, every political party has voted for it. That means all of them are Brahmins, ruled by Brahmins. So, the political democracy is a governance by the Brahmins, for the Brahmins, of the Brahmins. That is the political democracy. It is keeping this in mind. Baba Saheb insisted that the executive should be representative. The parliament should be representative. So, Article 330, 332, they were introduced to safeguard the diversity in the parliament. But the diversity is now achieved in such a way, Baba Sahib was always particular about separate electorate only for this reason. Now people who are elected from reserved constituencies are stooges in the hands of a caste, Savarna caste. A man who stands up for Dalits will never be elected from a giant electorate. Therefore he wanted separate electorate. That is why there was such a big hue and cry against separate electorate, because Dalits will become independent, will never compromise. Now you see, for reservation to Brahmins, all the Dalit MPs have voted, and Mallikarjun Kharge was at the forefront of such voting. So much true, Baba Sahib believed separate electorate alone can cater to the needs of Dalits and Adivasis. See how his words are prophetic. Be that as it may, in the executive there is a political executive and a bureaucratic executive. While the political executive is not representative, you know how it is being manipulated. Khattar is removed, he ruled for 2 terms. Now a backward class man is, because they want backward class votes. Rupani is removed just on the eve of elections in Gujarat. Yediyurappa is removed in Karnataka. Haryana, that is what Khattar is removed. OBC man is now, because Modi's face has worked to get votes, backward class votes. So they want to try it in states. But after election, you can be rest assured, he will be thrown to the dustbin. Again, Khattar, his caste man, will again come to power. Any upper caste man will come to power. So that is how political democracy is being manipulated. More importantly, do you call this BJP? Last election, Devegowda contested on a Congress support. The former Prime Minister invited me to campaign for him. I accepted his invitation. He held my hand like this and made an open declaration, whether I am elected or defeated, I will never go and support BJP in my life. This is what he said. Today, his son-in-law is a BJP candidate from Bangalore. His grandson will be another candidate from Hassan. One more grandson probably will be fielded again. And more importantly, look at the way the chief ministers have changed, like you change a card while playing cards. And everywhere BJP governments are formed not on votes, not on mandate, but by purchasing people, by purchasing ministers. The whole Kumaraswamy government was purchased, and that shameless Kumaraswamy is now going and prostrating before the same party. What happened to National Congress in Maharashtra? What happened to Shiv Sena in Maharashtra? So, Maharashtra government is not BJP government, it is Shiv Sena government, National Congress government. In other words, what is paraded as BJP government is like Indian made foreign liquor, Russian vodka, Italian martini, German beer, French wine, and Scotland's scotch. All are sold as Indian made foreign liquor. They are called as IMF, Indian made foreign liquor. So BJP is Congress made, Shiv Sena made, JDS made, National Congress made, and they claim that they are a party with a difference. You know how much money they have swindled, how much money they have pumped into the previous elections. Now, thanks to the Supreme Court, it is made public. Today, I am sure the Election Commission will have announced greater details. I am yet to see that. So, all the previous elections are rigged. Where they were not possible to rig it, they have purchased the parliament members, they have purchased the ministers, they have purchased the MLAs, and that is how they are ruling the country. This is the party with a difference. Sir, who are the victims? We are the victims. Political parties are not victims. People who voted them, we are fooled. Our vote is converted into BJP votes. Dalits votes are converted into BJP votes. Muslims votes are converted into BJP votes because they are purchasing those whom the Muslims voted, whom the Dalits voted, whom the Adivasis voted. They have become wholesale dealers of political prostitution. This is nothing but prostitution. I am sorry to use this word. But we are not protesting, sir. Not a single constituency, the voters have demanded their elected representative to retrace his steps. But on the other hand, very next day he is favored with a ministerial berth. He is made a minister. He is made a member of the parliament. Can there be greater immorality in politics? This is where the constitution has become unworkable. We have an anti-defection law. We are fooled. All the institutions are fooled. You know how the speaker is delivering the verdict in Maharashtra? He said the same thing in Shiv Sena case. It is either that faction is bad or this faction had to be disqualified. But he has saved both. National Conference action replay. Do you call this democracy, sir? That is where we lawyers have failed, if I may say so with respect. Lawyers have not launched any agitation against this political harakiri that is being committed by the elected representatives. The height of immorality that is exhibited by our own elected representatives, by our ministers, by our political parties. In Karnataka, every time there is an election, all the Congress MLAs are huddled together in buses and taken away to unknown places, hidden by D.K. Shiv Kumar. D.K. Shiv Kumar is an expert in hiding Congress MLAs. He will bring them back only on the eve of the election. And that is how Congress is still surviving in power. Poaching is so rampant. It is the order of the day. In every state it is happening. So this is how we have a BJP democracy in the country. Beg, buy, borrow or steal is their philosophy, not election, not purity of election. That is about political democracy. The executive has political wing, that is cabinet, and it has a bureaucratic wing. Friends, in the whole world, the first country to get the best civil service was India. It had not happened in UK, it had not happened in America, it had not happened in any other country. 1858, the first civil service examination was conducted. ICS examination. Men of knowledge, men of integrity, men of caliber. After a tough selection, written test, preliminary, final, viva voce, they were shortlisted and selected. ICS officers ruled this country with great efficiency. Whether the political executive was there or not, they would rule. Even when there is a president's rule, the civil servants carried on the administration. More importantly, when the country was divided, a very interesting thing happened. You remember Gandhiji fought for giving the Pakistan its legitimate share of the funds. India refused. That is because Pakistan was in shambles. New Delhi had a very well established bureaucratic setup. They were well entrenched. They had their officers, they had their tables, chairs, system working, networking. Everything was in place. But in Pakistan, it was shambles. Their first Prime Minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, was shot down like a dog on the highway. Even today, the killers are not traced. Their first president died of cancer shortly after they got independence. So the political executive is gone, and it is the bureaucrats who kept the country intact. It is the Indian civil service counterparts who went to Pakistan, who worked under trees, who worked without a chair, a table. They established a rule in Pakistan and held the country together. So that was the kind of civil service we had, we inherited. So today what has happened? So civil service, there is reservation. The scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, the backward classes have to be given reservation. That is what the constitutional mandate is all about, 16.4. Article 312, All India Services Act, everything mandates reservation. So what the BJP government has done is, now they have brought a very interesting policy, because IAS officers, they work right from the subdivisional officers up to the chief secretary, up to the secretary, deputy secretary, and when they become joint secretaries, that is where there is no reservation, because they are all promotional posts, selection posts, and more importantly, they head the respective departments as joint secretaries. So what the BJP government has done in 2018 is, they said, we will have lateral entry. These IAS officers, if they lose one rank in the seniority list, they come flying to me saying that, sir, urgent stay is required. So far, nobody has questioned the lateral entry. I don't know, in Delhi it must have happened, but we don't hear. It is working successfully, therefore, lateral entry. Through lateral entry, Adani can send his men, Ambani can send his men, RSS will definitely send its men, because there is no reservation. Backward classes are left out, scheduled castes are left out, scheduled tribes are left out, women are left out. Nobody is agitating, sir. This is where the constitution is in peril. Through the bureaucracy, the entire administration is being taken a stranglehold. No human beings will put nails on the road for the farmers to come to Delhi. It can only be these men who have come from the corporate world who are doing it. Men of the soil will not do it. Farmers are coming. They are not bringing rifles. They are not bringing AK-47. They are coming barehanded. Listen to them. That is all what they want. They will listen to them. Hats off to the farmers. That is the only movement which has stood its strength and time and succeeded so far in forcing the government to withdraw those draconian laws. Scheduled castes are not exhibiting that kind of a willpower. Backward classes are not exhibiting that kind of a willpower. That is where Article 16(4) is in peril. It has already become dysfunctional. Privatization, no protests. Economic reforms, no protest. Outsourcing the post, no protest. Nobody is fighting for it. All the nationalized banks are being privatized. All the nationalized industries are being handed over on a platter to the MNCs, so as to eliminate any representation to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and backward classes. So friends, this is the fate of the legislature and the executive. Let us take our own institution, the judiciary. I have worked nearly 50 years in this institution. I have seen the best of men. I have seen the worst of men. Now, what is happening to the judiciary? If not the liars, who should take it up? You want a man on the street? You want a farmer? You want a trade union man? Who should take it up? If not the lawyers. No bar association is interested in stemming the rot in the judiciary. Sir, have you heard of anybody, any country where judges appoint judges? Today, judges appoint judges. Nobody can challenge the arbitrariness that is exhibited in appointing the judges. Second, judges had warned that this may result in self-perpetuating oligarchy. Just count how many judges' children have become judges. How many members of the judges' families are becoming judges? How many chief justices' children are becoming chief justices? We abolished hereditary offices. In judiciary, have we transplanted it? It is happening in a big way. And we lawyers, we don't bother about it. Friends, we also don't bother about so many other things. All the jurists are celebrating Keshwananda, Keshwananda, Keshwananda. What is Keshwananda, sir? What is Keshwananda? We, the people of India, having solemnly constituted India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Sovereign republic. Any student, I think Samantha will also tell you, republic means what, Samantha? A government elected by the people. Now, a government elected by the people is the parliament. If the parliament makes an amendment to the constitution, Supreme Court strikes it down. Where is the sovereignty? I ask this question myself. Who is sovereign? Supreme Court has become sovereign. Is it a republic? So our republic is no longer sovereign. See, this is how the constitution is facing the problem. We are no longer a sovereign republic because a nominated judiciary is judging over the elected parliament whether it is right or wrong. So Keshwananda has put the last nail in the coffin of a socialist pattern of society this country was marching ahead. Till Keshwananda, our railways were nationalized, our telephones were nationalized, our airways were nationalized, our insurance companies were nationalized, our electricity companies were nationalized. Even distribution of electricity was not allowed to be handled by private people. Banks were nationalized. Privy purses were abolished. Today, if India as an economy has survived thanks to the bank nationalization, but Keshwananda has upset this apple cart. The delicate balance of checks and balances between the legislature and the judiciary has been upset, and since then the judges appoint themselves, the ascendancy is going. And very important, number one, there is no transparency in the appointment and transfer of judges. There is no accountability in the appointment and transfer of judges. And there is no reservation in the appointment of judges. So Kushwa, I fully support your bill. In fact, a bill was enacted, it had become the law, NJSC, but Supreme Court struck it down. And today, not only appointment, even post-retirement, you can see how all men who gave clean chit to Narendra Modi ji are adoring Lokpal. Lokpal, he is adoring. Can you believe a man who sent Tiesta Settleworth to jail for complaining against Modi ji? He is the Lokpal. Now judges are praising the executive sky high. Is it independence of the judiciary in the name of which judges appoint themselves? The way they are adoring the post-retirement officers, is it independence of the judiciary? Even Arun Jaitley had said there should be a cooling period for the judges. For 2 years, don't appoint them. But very next day, they are being appointed. Human Rights Commission. My friend H.L. Dattu, we practiced together. I know him. He praised the Prime Minister. Next day, after retirement, he became the Human Rights Commission chairman. So, independence of the judiciary is destroyed by the judges themselves, not others. By making appointments of their own kith and kin, independence of the judiciary is destroyed. By ignoring the claims of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and backward classes, independence of the judiciary is destroyed. Lawyers should not allow these things to happen. If you believe that you are a part of the legal system, it is your duty to set right your house and put it in order. If you don't fight, don't expect the poor farmers to come and fight for you, or the poor women to come and fight for you, or the ordinary laborers, Safai Karmacharis to fight for you. You are the leaders of the community. So friends, this is how the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, all of them have suffered constitutional injuries. So therefore, what is the way out? Shall we go home and sleep? Now the way, we are not organizing ourselves. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and backward classes organizers, the advocates are not organizing ourselves. Sir, we sensed this way back at least 30 years ago. And on a very, very systematic effort, it was we who demanded a National Judicial Appointments Commission to be constituted. In the year 2001, Lawyers Forum for Social Justice was constituted with twin demands. Number one, take away the power and appointment of judges from the judges. Put it in an independent body. And while so giving the power, make sure and insulate it from any other external power. At the same time, there should be a representative of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. There should be a representative of the backward classes, so that their claims are also considered. Now it is because of that the NJAC was enacted on that demand. We also made, Mr. Kushwa, I had myself drafted a bill. We also made another demand, namely, don't leave it to the goodwill of the judges to appoint scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and backward classes. Please provide reservation. Now that was not honored. The position has further deteriorated. The representation of these sections has further eroded. And there is over-representation of A caste or B caste or C caste depending on the states and the center. This is definitely not diversity, and this is definitely not democratic. I agree with Dr. Karthik, diversity is democracy. If there is no diversity, there is no democracy. Sir, recently a case was fought in the Supreme Court. A university provided reservation to the minorities, namely minorities means the blacks and the other minorities like Hispanics and Asians. A law school provided that reservation. When the case was going on, I was consulted in the matter. And President Bush was the president. He stoutly opposed reservation in the Supreme Court. Then all the army generals, navy generals, air force generals in United States, then all the MNCs including Procter and Gamble, the lead MNC, they filed affidavits before the Supreme Court. The law school class should represent the society and its diversity. We had recommended it to be incorporated in the South African Constitution. My good and noble senior, Mr. Haunur, he had recommended it. So, subsection 2 of section 194 of the Constitution of Republic of South Africa says, the judiciary, even the judiciary, forget about the civil services, even the judiciary should broadly reflect the gender and racial composition of South Africa. So, by virtue of which the South African judiciary is the most representative body on earth. Diversity is upheld to the hilt in South Africa. So, this was the affidavit filed by 72 VIPs of America. And the judges appointed by Justice Bush themselves voted for social justice and upheld that provision. Grits versus Bollinger is the case. I was there in the Supreme Court when the judgment was pronounced. So that is the strength of this phenomena. Any country should live peacefully. Any country should bring about a bloodless revolution. Any country should have peace and tranquility. It should implement, if it is a plural society, it should honor the concept of social justice. India provided the lead. Today, 21 countries in the world are following our model. Baba Saheb Ambedkar is adored all over the world as a harbinger of equality. In UK it is there, in European countries it is there, in Canada it is there, in USA it is there, Malaysia it is there, Indonesia it is there, Sri Lanka it is there. But in our own country, the same Procter and Company, they opposed reservation in private sector here because They are not ruled by Americans, they are ruled by Indians. Indian mindset has never heard of the kind of philanthropy we find in America, where estates are bequeathed for the welfare of the blacks and the minorities. Have you heard of a single industrialist bequeathing his property for the welfare of Dalits and Adivasis or the backward classes? Have you heard of it? It is happening in a big way. It is their mindset that had trained Baba Sahib Ambedkar to fight for equality. So friends, I think I have taken too much time. I will wind it up. Wanted to give you more examples of how judges have bungled and destroyed the judicial independence themselves. Latest is this man called Abhijit Gangopadhyaya. He was already hobnobbing with BJP, sitting as a judge, negotiated, delivered judgments in favor of them and against the government. And finally, I think he is contesting elections now on BJP ticket after resignation. In fact, in the Constituent Assembly, I would request Mr. Nitin to look up this. K.T. Shah had raised this objection. Don't allow judges to get any jobs after their retirement. That will destroy independence. K.T. Shah had raised this. In fact, when I was handling this issue, very interesting thing. A judge who was retired, soon after his retirement, he was appointed to fix the seniority in the Karnataka Electricity Board. I had filed a writ petition questioning the validity of it. So my senior, Mr. Havnur, was engaged to argue the matter. The judge before whom it came was Justice Baruka. Justice Baruka asked, what is wrong? What is wrong? He is only settling the seniority list. Everything is wrong if a retired judge takes up an appointment after retirement. That's what my senior thundered. There is nothing wrong, he said. If you want to hear this case, you file an affidavit, you will not accept any appointment after retirement. My senior insisted. That is when he ordered notice and the judge resigned his post. So this has become a big menace. It has destroyed judicial independence. If men go on begging jobs even while sitting in the office and go on praising the executive, what kind of a judicial independence is that? So, it is keeping these things in mind. I want to bring it to your notice. There is what is known as Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct. Lawyers, you should get at it. And judges have settled 7 core values for themselves. Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct. Saptarshigalu. 7 core values. 1. Independence. 2. Impartiality. 3. Integrity. 4. Propriety. 5. Equality. 6. Competence. 7 is I don't get the 7th point, but there's 6. No, actually there are 7. Only 6 are enumerated everywhere. The last one I think equality or some this thing. But one thing I wanted to show, judges are never concerned about diversity, representation. Shrikant mentioned a very interesting episode. One Chief Justice said, there are already 2 Dalit judges, why do you want one more? When I was arguing a case, 25 computer analysts, all of them are incidentally Dalits. The Brahmin judge was flabbergasted. He started shouting, how can you have all the 25 posts? Yes, sir, I agree. But have you ever asked this question when all of them were Brahmins? That is when he stopped shouting and admitted my case. So this is very important. Reservation in promotion was questioned in Karnataka. The main argument was, by 2007, all the chief engineers in Karnataka will be scheduled castes. That was the argument. I said, why should they not? They have been deprived of that post for centuries. Therefore, as long as there is reservation, allow it to happen. I eventually succeeded. It was written by Justice Ramajoy's judgment was written by a Brahmin judge who accepted the importance of providing not only reservation at the direct recruitment, which is quantitative, but also reservation in promotion, which is qualitative, decision making level. So friends, these are the issues on which I wanted to highlight. So, what is it that we lawyers should work for? I request all of you to bestow your attention to this. Listen to me carefully and consider seriously. Number 1, we should have proportional representation. Now that Brahmins also have reservation, why are you denying the backward classes their legitimate share? Give proportionate representation to all castes. One standard question, how long you want reservation? Now Brahmins have reservation. You ask that question, you provide it only as long as Brahmins also get reservation. You can abolish everything together. Now reservation is necessitated because of the caste prejudice or the caste inequality perpetrated. So abolish caste, as Dr. Logia said, throw open all the guested posts only to intercaste married couples and their children. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, in fact, I want this to drive home to all my social justice comrades. Unless you destroy caste, you will not bring equality. And the only manner and method by which you can destroy caste is the intercaste marriages. Baba Sahib's thesis on intercaste marriages in annihilation of caste is so important that all the oppressed communities have forgotten Baba Sahib's annihilation of caste. This has to be a movement. In Karnataka we have taken it up on a war footing. In Tamil Nadu it has happened on a war footing. So this is one. So proportional representation is one thing. Second one, proportional representation should be provided not only in the Lok Sabha but also in the civil services, that is services under the state. Next, reservation in judiciary, which Mr. Kushwaha has already demanded. I fully endorse his. And more importantly, judicial appointments should be handled by an independent body, and judges should not be allowed to appoint themselves. So the collegium system should be abolished and a National Judicial Appointments Commission be constituted. And last but not the least, disqualify all judges from accepting any post-retirement jobs. And the Parliament should amend wherever it has been made mandatory to appoint only retired judges. Please revisit all those legislations to ensure that there is an alternate system brought into place. If you really want to protect the judiciary and uphold its independence. Last but not the least, I know judiciary will not allow the Parliament to handle this issue. I want the Supreme Court itself to take the lead and, like Vishaka, lay down that no judge who retires from a constitutional post of High Court or Supreme Court judge should accept any appointment after his retirement. To begin with, you give a cooling period, say 2 years, 3 years. They should not accept. By then their influence will come down and their judgment also will not be influenced by the fact that they are going to get a plum post after delivering the judgment. So with these suggestions, I profusely thank everyone here for such a patient hearing. I congratulate the organizers and particularly my good friend Dalit Mandal and Nitin Meshram and all the members on the dais on organizing such an all-important All India conference. Please take it to the state level. In every state you should have a similar this thing, so that you will mobilize more people, sensitize the advocates, because if the advocates don't stand up, nothing will happen in this country till the Constitution is destroyed. If you want to protect the Constitution, make the advocates stand up to protect the Constitution, defend the Constitution. All those who are taking oath are failing the Constitution. At least advocates should take it up, so that we have enough advocates, we have sufficient strength. As a matter of fact, every time I have a say in the appointment of some membership or some law officer or some prosecutors, so many advocates queue up. I just wonder myself, where had these people gone? When I called a backward classes lawyers conference or a scheduled caste, they don't come. But the moment there is a vacancy, you can see a big queue. That kind of opportunism will not serve. If you are really committed to the cause of social justice, you should organize yourself, you should demonstrate your strength, and more importantly, unless Dalits and backwards stand together, we will not be able to protect the concept of social justice. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.